Okay, so in today's video we're focusing on part 3 of the reading and use of English from the Cambridge Advanced exam. And well, you can see in this first exercise that we have here, the only thing we have to do is correct the prefixes in the words in brackets. Well, that's because in part 3 of the reading and use of English in Advanced, you have a word which you have to transform to fit correctly into the context of the given sentence. So we'll try with this one first of all. I want you to pause the video, have a look at the words that are in brackets and, well, change them as you see necessary. There's a problem with the prefix, okay? So it's the beginning of the word which is wrong. So I'll give you a couple of minutes to have a look at that. Okay, well, we're ready to continue then. So let's have a look at what we've got now. Number 1, many of the applicants for the course were considered either immature or lacking in relevant experience. Immature with double M, not NM, as it is in Spanish, obviously, inmaduro. So I think that's a problem that we find in a lot of Romance languages. It would be NNM instead of double M. Okay, so number 2, the whole program was disorganized from start to finish. No one seemed to know who was responsible for what. So we start to see a pattern. Miss normally means that you do something in an incorrect way. Anyway, let's continue. Number 3, the professor was renowned for her unconventional teaching methods. I am unconventional. I am normally goes with an adjective that begins with P. Anyway, let's have a look. Number 4. Eventually, the student was able to overcome his shyness in class and speak in public. So he had a problem, which was his shyness that stopped him speaking in public. But he overcame his problem. He was able to overcome his problem. Okay, number 5. I will not tolerate misbehavior in my class, the tutor warned. So if you misbehave, if you behave in a way that is incorrect, I will not tolerate it. Okay, number 6. Pre-booking with a hyphen. Pre-booking is extremely advisable as places are limited and will be assigned on a first-come, first-served basis. So it's a good idea to book in advance, because if you don't, you're possibly not going to get a place, because they work on a first-come, first-served basis. They serve the first person who comes. Basically, you need to get there quickly or book in advance. Number 7. The most recent training was undertaken more than 4 years ago. Further familiarization is urgently needed. So undertake is kind of like a formal word, like for carry out would be the phrasal verb, basically to do something. Not to be mistaken with an undertaker, which is a very specific thing. An undertaker, not the wrestler, is someone who, I think they're the person who buries people when they die, or are they the person that dresses them? I don't know. They do something with dead bodies. Anyway, not important. Number 8. The dates of the course were inconvenient, so we did not attend. We didn't go because it was not convenient for us. It was inconvenient for us. Okay, so there's some good practice with prefixes there. Let's move on. So in exercise 2 here, what we've got is a bit of practice with our relative pronouns. And, well, let's see what it says, because there's a couple of things to go over here. It says, complete the text with the correct relative pronouns from the box. Decide which, if any, relative pronouns can be omitted. So if the relative pronoun is not necessary, I want you to put it in brackets. Yeah, sometimes there's more than one option. sometimes there's more than one relative pronoun that is possible. So have a look at the words you've got in the box, decide if there is only one correct answer. If the relative pronoun is not necessary because it refers to the object of the sentence and not to the subject of the clause, then put it in brackets to show that we don't need it. Okay, so take a few minutes to have a look at that. Okay, so I think we're ready to go through the answers. We have one example. Then it says, choosing the university which is right for you is not as easy as it may seem. It's actually also possible to say that there, I think. So they didn't say that in the example. They said that the correct answer is which. I think it would also be right to say that, but it's the subject of the clause, so it has to be there, so we haven't put it in brackets. Okay, so let's continue. Why this may be the case is that the prospectus make all of them seem attractive. So why is that not necessary there? Well, because it doesn't refer to the subject. It doesn't refer to the subject of the clause. The prospectuses make all of them seem attractive. That doesn't really have a function there. It's not necessary. We have a subject, we have a verb. The prospectuses make. We don't need our relative pronoun there. But if you were going to use one, it would have to be that. Is like es que? No? Okay. Here are some tips to help you when it's your turn to decide. Okay, so we're talking about a moment that can never be omitted. When and where are always necessary, and whose, you can't omit them, even in a non-defining relative clause. Even in a defining relative clause, they are necessary. And they're referring to the object, obviously, because they're referring to a time and a place. They're not going to be the subject usually. Okay, how far is it between the halls of residence and the place where, of course, the place where your lectures will take place? Again, where, like I said with when in number 3, it's necessary. We can't put it in brackets. It is absolutely necessary to use that pronoun. How will you travel around? On foot, by bike, using public transports? How old are the lecturers? Who or that will be teaching you? So how old are the lecturers? They're people, so it's who. That is also possible because this is a defining relative clause. Because we say the lecturers. What lecturers? Well, we have to tell you which lecturers I'm talking about. How old are the lecturers who will be teaching you? I'm talking about some specific teachers, lecturers. Check to see if you can find any articles they've written and how recent the publication dates are. Read comments on student chat rooms by anyone whose insights might prove valuable, such as undergraduates doing the same course. So these insights belong to a possible person, anyone whose insights. Now, remember, whose is like cuyos, which we don't really, or cuyo, or cuya, or cuyas, we don't really use it that much in Spanish. But again, it's a necessary relative pronoun when we use it to show ownership. Okay, and of course, the fees, which or that, again, so we're referring to an inanimate object. So it can be which, it's also that, because this is a defining relative clause. There's no comma. This is necessary information. Of course, the fees. What fees? The fees that or which the university charges are a big deciding factor. Check there may be grants available, in which case find out the requirements and applying. Yeah, that's interesting because in Spanish the phrase there might be en cuyo caso, no? But we don't use cuyo in that sense. Cuyo is only for ownership, in which case is a phrase which means en cuyo caso. Si tal, no? Anyway, good. Let's move on then. This is the exam task we've got coming up now. So it explains what you have to do, but I think it's fairly obvious. I think you've seen activities like this before, even in first certificate. Part 3 is very similar. It's the same exercise essentially. So for questions 1 to 8, read the text below. Use the word given in capitals at the end of some of the lines to form a word that fits the gap in the same line. There is an example at the beginning. So, making the right choice, and we've got the word decide. The decision as to which university to apply to is often taken on the basis of a university's position on the world rankings table. Okay, take a few minutes to have a look at this. Remember, it's the word that is on the line. You always have the correct word, you just have to change it a little bit. If it's decide, it's going to be decision. If you have theory, well, I don't know. You find out what it's going to be. Take a few minutes and we'll go through the answers when you come back. So here we go. Yet other considerations, such as whether the course is theoretical or offers hands-on experience, and the amount of time that students will need to work independently, should be taken into account. Theoretical or hands-on. Theoretical, practical is hands-on is a more colloquial way of saying practical, basically. Good. So the fact is that some undergraduates who express their dissatisfaction with their university experience base their complaints on poor organisation, the lack of support received, and on having fewer contact hours than expected. Contact hours is the amount of time that you spend with the teacher or the lecturer. Okay. So, as higher education providers are the people that give a good or a service to the customer. As higher education providers come under increasing pressure to meet established targets and to maintain or improve their status, course guidelines should clarify, so the verb to make more clear is to clarify what, so the guidelines should clarify what participants can expect from the course and what the course expects from them. This should ensure, if anyone's not sure about the difference between ensure, assure, and insure, well, you can leave a comment on the video. That would be good if you'd leave some comments. I can teach you that way as well. Anyway, this should ensure a reduction in student dropout rates. Dropout rates is the rate at which students leave university before they've finished their course. A dropout is someone who doesn't finish their studies. Inevitably, though, no matter how much the content and structure is spelt out, some students will turn up with unrealistic or unreal expectations that can never be met. I think the best option there is unrealistic. Unreal is also accepted. Okay, well, again, if you had any problems understanding anything in this video, leave a comment on the video. And we've finished. Yes. Goodbye.